Hello everybody, today I'm going to talk about a 2-week travel budget for traveling India. I'll share my specific expenses, also estimated costs from doing research in popular tourist destinations. If you want help planning your travel expenses, I made a template on Google Sheets on my website, chinomad.com/2weeksinIndiaBudget. You can go there now and download the spreadsheet, or no, not download it, duplicate it onto your Google Drive, fill in your expenses, and you can get an idea for how much you're going to spend on your trip to India, because if you're like me, you like to nerd out on that kind of thing, and make sure you don't blow your budget on chai or some other expense. Recently, my mom and aunt flew all the way from Michigan here to India. It's like, where are they?
Negotiating money.
And for a month, we got to spend time together. Specifically 2 weeks or 15 days, we went from South India over to Chennai, where the big airport is. We flew to Delhi, went over to Agra, saw the Taj Mahal, Agra Fort, Baby Taj, small little tomb that looks like the Taj. We saw Fatehpur Sikri, a palace that is, it's like a ghost palace, no longer used, was once Akbar, a famous Mughal emperor, which, yeah. We went from Agra to Khajuraho, where there are temples with Kama Sutra inspired carvings, which was cool to see with my mom and my aunt. We went from Khajuraho to Varanasi, where we took a boat tour along the Ganges. We saw the burning ghats, where they have cremations 24 hours a day, 7 days a week along the river. We went and down south to Kerala, where we took a backwaters tour on a non-motorized boat. Some strong man and his friend were pushing our boat with a big stick through the canals, and it was lush and it was beautiful. We had seafood. All right. That's enough about my trip. Let's go through these expenses to estimate how much your costs are going to be when you take this 2-week travel trip through India. Quick interruption. If you're interested in travel tips about India, subscribe to my channel, click the bell for notifications. Every Monday I post a video, and I would love to have you join our community. Budget travelers are going to spend $20 to $50 a day. Mid-range travelers like myself and my mom and my aunt, we spent $65. Most people are going to spend $50 to $150 a day. And if you're going luxury travel, you're going to spend $150 a day at least. Now, I asked on Facebook some travelers how much they would spend on a month-long trip in India. 50% of them said they could do it in less than $20 a day. 43% said they could do it between $20 and $50 a day. So it's very doable. And India is great for budget travelers. It's great for mid-range travelers too, because for a few bucks more, you get a lot. And I'll go through specifically where we stayed, what type of places we saw, and you can get a sense for whether you want to spend less or spend more. So on a 15-day tour, I spent $986 total. I broke it down by category. So I have my preparation expenses, which are my visa, which I already had, but you would have to get it. It's $26. If you want help filling it out, it's a bit more. Travel insurance, I use World Nomads and pay about 80 some bucks a month. If you want, I've recently been doing research about this company, Safety Wing, which is about half that price. You can take a look at the link in the description, but that's good. I spent $103 on preparation for the trip with travel insurance. Another main category is lodging, so hotels. Although they are very inexpensive in India, it was 28.99% of my total budget. I spent $329 on lodging and $21.94 every day. You want to spend less than that? You're thinking $21 is a lot? All right, you can spend $3.30 in major tourist destinations for the lowest price hostel bed in a shared dorm. $3.30. And we're not talking about Joe's dorm where no one stays and it's terrible. We're talking about hostels that get good reviews on booking.com and a lot of reviews, and get reviews like 8.3, I think was the average review on these, which is a great review. So for $3.30, you can get around and sleep well at night. If you want your own private room, you're going to spend $7.60, which is still dirt cheap. That is less expensive than 2 Big Macs. That is less expensive than a big bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken. That is less expensive than a pizza. Okay, you get my point. It's inexpensive. We spent $21.94 on hotel rooms. We stayed in 3-star hotel rooms. My God, I got a huge bed, writing working table, veranda, all to myself. Rooms often had double beds. We had 3 swimming pools, I believe maybe 4, at the different hotels that we stayed at. We had breakfast included. We stayed at one 5-star hotel in Kerala that had 2 delicious restaurants on the property, big swimming pool, had the fluffy row with the slippers we could put on, little mini bar. So for $21.94, you can get great lodging. Transportation and flights. So let's first talk about flights. Domestic flights are going to be less than $100 one way everywhere in India that I could find. Maybe there's a couple places, but you can bet on less than $100 wherever you want to go in India. $50 is more normal. So from Chennai to Delhi, it's about $50. Varanasi to Kerala, it's about $50. So we spent $119 to go from Chennai to Delhi, Varanasi to Kerala, Kerala to Chennai. Very cheap, basically around the whole country for $120. Now, transportation. We splurged a bit on transportation around the destinations. So we had people picking us up with that little sign, like, hey, my aunt's name. She was loving it, from airports and train stations, which made coming out of them a bit easier and more relaxed, especially for them. Because outside of the airports and train stations, you're going to have taxi drivers trying to pitch you on really expensive trips and really expensive rides because they know you're sort of you're jet lagged, you don't know much about India. So we had private drivers maybe 30% of the time. It's helpful for, you can get a private driver for $50 to $100 a day, and it can be helpful in a place like Agra that has a number of tourist destinations. So we had our guy picking us up at like 6 o'clock. We went to the Agra Fort for a few hours. They were waiting for us. They picked us up. We went to the Baby Taj, which is a little tomb that looks like the Taj Mahal. Spent an hour there. They took us to this other palace, Fatehpur Sikri, outside of Agra. Took us to lunch, brought us home. By 3 o'clock, we'd seen 3 major destinations in very comfortable setting in our own car. Now, had we had to negotiate rickshaws and taxis, it would have been a more taxing day. So in that case, it's worth it to splurge on a private driver. Now, if you're going budget, you could totally pay less for getting taxis or rickshaws. Local buses are so inexpensive. You can go 3 to 4 hours for just a few dollars. So if that's the route you want to take, you're going to have a cool local experience. It is going to be more inconvenient at times and take you longer. Just a quick little bus story. I had a friend who was going 4 hours, and to find the bus station, she just had to ask people because it's difficult to, it might not be easily marked. And then once you're at the bus station, it's not like a Greyhound where there's like, oh, you're going to Agra right here at this time. It's more like you have to ask a bunch of people, get a consensus about where the bus is going to be. It's probably going to be 30 minutes to an hour late, and you're going to also need to check with the driver that it's actually going where you need to go. It's a bit more work, but if you want that local experience, you're going to be bumping into people. It's going to be adventure wherever you go. That is also, it's kind of cool, and it's very inexpensive. Luxury travelers, $100 a day. You can have a nice SUV taking you where you need to go. They're going to have little waters and nuts in your car. And on the opposite side of the spectrum, it's a comfortable way to see the destinations. We spent $307 on our transportation. And again, we had private drivers. We took some taxis for like 4 hours here at 12 hours total. So we splurged on that expense, but if you wanted to do it, you could do it much cheaper. Food, I spent $149 in 2 weeks on food, about $10 a day. We would have our breakfast included, so we saved money there, at the hotel. At lunch, we would have light lunches mostly. We would have a local thali. We would eat some fruit at a cart. We would eat leftovers from last night. So we didn't spend a lot on lunches. But dinners, my aunt was into the Lonely Planet recommendation, so she would find a place and we would go check out this nice restaurant. For $10, you can eat a delicious meal in India. That's very safe and is highly recommended. On the luxury side of things, we spent $150 one night at an Oberoi 5-star hotel where we ate 12-hour roasted lamb shanks and had breads and appetizers. They had drinks, and it was delicious. Great service. If you want the luxury experience, the Oberoi chain of hotels, for example, is going to cost about $300 a night in Agra, overlooking the Taj Mahal. Excellent service. That's an option as well. On the flip side, the budget food options are very, very plentiful, especially in big cities. As I was looking at the lowest priced budget options that had great reviews, I was looking at Zomato, a food delivery app, and it will estimate how much a meal is for 2 people. And on average, for less than $3, you can get food for 2 people at restaurants that are reviewed like 1,000 times. So they're going to be safe, they're going to be good, and there are a lot of them. So for less than $3, you can be eating dinner in many places in India. Entertainment. So I'm not sure what you're into, but India has a lot of free things if you're a budget-oriented type of person. There's festivals all the time, there's parades, there's shopping, there's street markets. You can sit at a chai shop and just people watch. There's a lot to see in India that doesn't cost anything. Now, the tourist destinations, admission fees tend to be about 500 rupees on average, which is about $7. More expensive at places like the Taj Mahal, which is 1,300 rupees, or a little bit less than $20 or around that area, or a little bit less for less popular tourist destinations. On average, what do we spend? I spent $91 total on entertainment, or about 8% of my total budget, and I spent $6 a day on that. We also had tour guides, and we paid in advance for a tour company, and so we paid $150 or between $100 and $200 total for the entire trip to have tour guides in Agra, at the Taj Mahal, Agra Fort, Fatehpur Sikri, another place that I'm not remembering. The erotic temples in Khajuraho, the boat ride in Varanasi, the backwater tour in Kerala, and the big temple and flower market in Madurai. You also might want to see the nightlife, and in big cities you're going to find some bars and you're going to find some clubs. It's different than in most other places. For instance, when I was in Pondicherry, every place closed at 10 o'clock, and there are men-only dance floors and women-only dance floors, and sometimes single men cannot get into clubs. But if you go to a non-touristy restaurant, the alcohol is very inexpensive, with domestic beers less than $2, imported beers less than $4, and a bottle of wine around $8. If you go to a restaurant at a touristy place, you are going to spend more. I paid over $13 for whiskey and Coke one time at the airport. So just be conscious about that. It can obviously add some fun to your trip, and if you're not into that, then that's cool as well. Shopping. India can be a shopper's paradise. You can get a lot of inexpensive things: spices, perfumes, handmade clothing. in the city I live in, I can go get organic cotton and go to the best tailor in town and for 20 bucks make a shirt like this. If I want to get regular cotton for a less than the best tailor in town, 5 bucks, I can get myself a tailor-made shirt. Cotton or clothing is very inexpensive here. There are some expensive shopping though. For instance, saffron, this delicious spice, is between $70 and $500 per gram, and you can't find it for inexpensive prices. If it's inexpensive, then it's fake. Same thing with cashmere. Cashmere is going to cost you 10,000 to 5,000, 50,000 rupees, or about 150 to math on the screen. Please help me out. And you're not going to find cheap cashmere because it just can't be done. If it's cheap, it's fake. And same thing with a lot of things. My aunt was going to little shops and buying little trinkets and statues and necklaces and jewelry. And there's so much you can see, and you're going to have people coming up to you all the time. Hey, let me show you my shop, and they can be very nice, and they can be very persuasive and a bit pushy. But if you want to spend some money and buy some gifts for people, it's a great place to do so. If you want help traveling, if you're interested in other prices about India, I got a $167 a month apartment here, and I did a quick little tour. It's no cribs edition, but it will show you what you could get living in India. I also went to some restaurants and estimated the cost of living here. So if you're curious about a trip, you can get a sense for more prices in that video. Thank you for watching.